What's going on, everybody? Hey, today I'm going to show you how you can invest in real estate with literally no money down. And I'm going to show you, I'm walking through 3 stories of how we've done this 3 different scenarios and how you can follow this exact blueprint so you can do it as well. Let's go. This is going down. So let's talk about how we got into our very first real estate deal. And so this was back in 2017, and this is when we had literally no money. So this is the only way that we could do it. And so at that time, me and my wife Katie were not married at the time. We were just boyfriend girlfriend. We were just smoozing on each other, just loving on each other, but not married. And so we were actually looking to buy a house, right? Actually, more specifically, my wife was looking to buy a house because I was like really trying to focus on growing my business. And so she did all the steps that it took to get qualified for a house. She went to the bank. She got her financing in order. She started like putting offers out there, and she could not get a house under contract. She was in bidding wars against multiple people, and it got really frustrating. And she got to a point where she was like, "Man, like this is really hard. Like I have to bring multiple offers in, right? Like real estate is hard." But she kept on pushing through. And then all of a sudden, her stepmom saw that she was really working hard and she really wanted this, and she's like, Katie, I actually own a condo outright. Like, what do you think about buying this for me? And then all of a sudden, boom! I was like, wow! So this wasn't even our idea. So we kind of got lucky. We fell into this. Like, okay, that sounds cool. And I remember sitting there on her dad's couch and her stepmom's couch, and we're sitting there, and they're basically walking us through this deal of how they were going to sell us this house with no money down. And they're talking about interest rates, and we had no idea what the heck they were talking about. Like, okay, this just sounds cool, right? We were actually more scared because our rent payment, in this case, it was gonna be a mortgage, was gonna go up significantly. So we're worried about that than actually the down payment, which is funny looking back on it. But anyway, that's what we were worried about. We ended up getting into this house. We literally paid some closing costs. We paid like $2,000 in closing costs, but that was literally it. So we got into this house, no money down, and that's when we got into our very first real estate deal. Was the house that we lived in, which is really cool. And so that was the very first deal, and we still own that house. And now we've since turned into a rental, and so which is a whole nother strategy. But if you like what you're hearing so far, let me know. Like this, subscribe this. Like, I'm gonna be dropping videos like this all the time. So please let me know before we get into the next 2 examples. Like, comment, let me know that you're actually liking this stuff so far. So let's move on. Let's talk about scenario number 2 that we've done no money down real estate. And so now we're talking about Katie's mom. And so Katie's mom has been somebody who's lived here in Bozeman, the area at the time that we live in, for like 20 plus years. And she owned a home here, and she had built up a ton of equity, but she was really getting crushed by her monthly mortgage payment, and she was getting to that point in life where she didn't really want to work as much. And so without a mortgage payment, well, she would have to work at all. And so unfortunately though, the town we were in Bozeman, like, her equity wasn't enough to actually buy a house outright. So if she wanted to do that, she would have to move to a different market and be away from us and from her grandkids, and she didn't want to do that. So we basically came up with a creative solution for her that, like, hey, like, you have some equity in this property, and we have some skills investing in real estate. Why don't we actually partner up a little bit? And so what we decided to do is we decided to partner up. We find a place that actually has at least 2 units that she could live in one unit, and then we would use the other side and rent it out. And we would use her money for the down payment, and then we would be responsible for the mortgage and the insurance and taxes and everything else along with the property. And she's like, that sounds like a really good deal. And so that's what we did. And so we ended up finding a live-work unit actually here in Bozeman, and we ended up getting on a contract. She put the down payment down on that property, and now she literally is free and clear. She doesn't have any monthly mortgage. She doesn't have any payments. She literally just gets to, like, live her life. And since then, she's actually cut back from, I think, 3 or 4 days a week at she cuts hair to literally doing 1 day a week, and that sounds like it might go away too, right? Because she doesn't have to do it anymore, which is really cool. And now we have we have 2 rentals down below that we're able to cash flow on, and it becomes a win-win situation because we have that skill set, and now she doesn't have to worry about it. She is financially free, and we have a rental. We didn't put any money down. Huge win-win situation, really cool. And in a market, by the way, that most people think is expensive, you can't get into it, right? Which is even cooler. So that is the second awesome way that you get into real estate with literally no money down. So are you liking what you're hearing so far? Please let me know. Like, comment, all the good stuff. Let me know. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be dropping like videos like this all the time. As long as I get some engagement, as long as I hear that people are listening, right? Actually, I'll drop it regardless because I just love this stuff anyway. So let's talk about the third way. This is actually my favorite way, and this is a way that you can literally do tomorrow. So before I tell you this though, like, are you an action taker, right? Are you someone who takes action, or are you someone who, like, comes up with excuses or comes up with reasons why you can't do it, why you shouldn't do it? Because right now, I'm about to tell you this right now, and it's going to define who you are. Are you the type of person who literally takes action? Are you the type of person who comes up with all the problems and all the reasons why you can't do it, or the reasons why it's scary and risky? Like, think about that before I tell you this third one. So this one is like, literally, you can do it tomorrow. Are you excited? I'm excited. I love this one. This one's one of my favorite ones to do. So, answer that question. Now it's like the third way to do it. So, do you live in a home right now? The answer to that, most likely, is yes, right? And thank God we just have the mower going on in the background now. It's perfect timing for the mower to be going on in the background. Awesome. Love it. So, with that being said, if you live in a home, this is my favorite strategy to do, is you can Airbnb your home, right? And I don't mean just like having someone like rent your room out. I mean like you literally move out of your home for a day, for the weekend, for the week, and Airbnb your home while you're gone. So maybe you already have a trip planned. Maybe you already have a weekend plan where you're gonna go somewhere. It's summertime. Most likely you do. And so instead of you having you have to pay for your trips and it costs you to go on trips, now you have your trips paid for, right? And so this is actually what we did. Almost like a year ago, we were actually going on a trip down to Utah. We were going to a mastermind event, a real estate mastermind event. And Katie was like, you know what? We have these 2 Airbnbs that we already have. So we have 2 separate Airbnbs. And she's like, what about putting our house up on Airbnb? I was like, heck yes, right? Heck yes, let's do it, right? Like what do we have to lose? And we put it up on Airbnb, and it was amazing. The house got booked, and I can remember like our trip to Utah was around like $500 in like plane and VRBO. And our home, I think it rented out for like a little over $400. And so like our trip to Utah literally cost us less than $100 because our home was being rented out the entire time that we were gone. And we came back, and guess what? Our house was still standing. It didn't get burned down. No one had touched our stuff. They didn't leave the house a mess. In fact, what we found out is that people actually took care of our house even better because they knew we actually lived in it, which was crazy. Like, this was a huge epiphany for us. And we've since done it multiple times. And the reason, and the example I want to show you, one of the last times we did it, is my mom, because again, like we're all into real estate, like convinced my mom to get into real estate, and she got into VRBOs, and now she has 3 VRBOs, by the way. Super cool, super proud of her. But we went and actually helped her. And so her VRBOs are in a different town. And so we're like, hey, we're gonna go help her. And guess what? My mom doesn't charge me rent, which is awesome. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate that. And so we put our house up on Airbnb and we rented it out. And now this time again, we made about a little over $400. But this time we didn't have any payments to go with it besides gas to get to where we were going. And so I think gas cost about $50 to get there. And so we netted over $400 for that weekend, which we went and helped my mom. My mom got to see her little grandbaby, and we got to help her out, help her get her house on Airbnb, and we got paid for it. Wow, amazing, right? And so I was like, wow, this is really cool. And again, like we'll continue to do it over and over again because it works so well. And just so you know, like every single time that someone comes into our house, they leave it even better than they came in because they know it's our home. They like, it's something different about, you know, when you go to somebody's house and you know somebody else lives there, it's like you treat it even better. And so that's been our biggest takeaway. And when it comes to like the big excuse that I know people have, it's like, well, what about my belongings? What about my personal things? Like, lock them up, put them somewhere else. Like, find a solution. Again, like I said earlier, like, are you the type of person who finds solutions, or the type of person who comes up with more damn problems? Right? This is going to define you right now. You can become a real investor today. All you got to do is make that decision. It's, how am I going to become a real investor? I'm going to make the decision first. I make the decision. I'm a real estate investor, and then you figure out the how later, right? But I just give you 3 strategies of how we've got down into real estate with literally 0 money down in all 3 situations. They were all different situations. We did it at a time when we had literally no money. We had a time when we had money, and we had a time where we had just an open house, right? And so ultimately, there's 3 different ways. No matter where you are in your life, you can take one of those examples and you can use them. So hopefully you got some value from this. Let me know if you did. Please like, comment, share, all the good stuff. And hey, if you did one of these examples, let me know. Like, I'm curious to hear your story, or if you know any other no money down real estate deals. Actually, there's a ton more real estate deals, ways you can do real estate, but those are the 3 ways that we've done it, and those are the ways that we like to do it. So anyway, happy day that you're watching this. My name is Logan Manzanares, and I'm out. Bye.